All right, last video in the series. This is scientific notation number 2, multiplying and dividing. All right, so let's take a look at the multiplication. I've got an example here, 3 times 10 to the third times 5 times 10 to the second. So what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of the x's and write it how we were doing when we did exponent rule number 1. So I'd have 3 times 10 to the third just means times 10 times 10 times 10. And then I'd have 5 times 10, 2 tens, times 10. So we're going to, step 1 is to multiply the numbers. And then, so I've got 3 times 5 gives me 15. And then we'd say times 10 to the, well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. So I have 15 times 10 to the fifth. And so I guess we'd say add up the tens. That was step 1. Step 2 is check to see if in scientific notation. Sometimes it isn't, and winner, winner, chicken dinner, this one is not. It is not in scientific notation because there are 2 digits. We have a tens place and a ones place. We're only allowed to have a ones place. So we need to take this number 15 and we need to make it a little smaller, but you have to balance it out. So if I'm making 15 smaller by a power of 10 to make it 1.5, then I have to increase my 10 to the fifth by 1. So really this is 1.5 times 10 to the sixth. So if you make this smaller, you have to make this larger. Now sometimes that's difficult because if it's a negative, you have to make it larger by 1, which means it's coming closer to 0. Now let's take a look at a division problem. If we have a division problem like this, step 1 is to deal with unhappy exponents. Now there are several different ways to do this. I think that probably this works out the best for those of you who maybe struggle with scientific notation. It's that thorn in your side. So I would deal with the negative exponent first. My 10 to the negative fourth. Poor guy, he's claustrophobic, doesn't like to be on the bottom bunk, so he's going to come up there. And so we end up with 2.2 times 10 to the sixth, and then we have times 10 to the fourth, all over 2. Step 2 is to divide the numbers, and 2.2 or $2.20 divided by 2 would give me 1.1 times 10 to the, well, I have 6 plus 4 would give a, or I'd have 6 tens, and 4 tens would give me a total of 10 tens. Now, the question is, do I need to make that little 10, the exponent 10, a negative? I do not, because they are all up on the top bunk. Had they been on the bottom bunk, had they been in the denominator, it would be dividing by 10. It would be a very small number, and so we would make that a negative. Step 2 is to check scientific notation, or step 3 is to check scientific notation. And we got lucky this time. It is in scientific notation because I only have 1 digit there. I'm only in the ones place, and so we are good there. So that is how you multiply and divide scientific notation. Now the other example that you may need is how to raise scientific notation to a power. So let's look at something like this. So we're going to label this powers. And we'll do one quick problem, and then I'll let you go. If I had 7 times 10 to the negative third maybe, and I'm going to raise that to the fourth power. Well, let's think about what that means. I have 7 times 10 to the negative thirds. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that over 1 because I have negative exponents. And so I'm going to move all of those 10s to the negative exponent because they are not feeling happy about that top bond. They're a little scared. So we are going to move those down. So 10 to the negative third comes down, comes down, comes down, comes down. I lost the negative there. And so we now end up with 7, 7, 7, 7. We have 4 7s up top, and we have 4 10 to the, or positive thirds, not negative. It became positive when it came downstairs to the bottom bunk. So if you figure that out, 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, it gives you 2,401 over 3 10s plus 3 10s is 6 10s, plus 3 more is 9, plus 3 more is 10 to the 12. Now, is it in scientific notation? No way, Jose. So let's write this out. We'd have 2,401 times 10 to the, well, my 10s are all in the bottom, so they're dividing, so it's going to be tiny, so it'll be negative 12. Now my decimal's sitting here. There's no way I've only got one digit. So I need to push that decimal. I've divided by 10. I've divided by 10. I've divided by 10. So I have 2.401 times 10 to the, well, I made this smaller. So since I've made that smaller, I need to increase this and make it bigger by 3 sets of 10. So I'm going to add 3 to that exponent. Negative 12 plus 3 gives me negative 9. And it is now in scientific notation. And that's how you raise it to powers.